Operation Sam. I swear to God, you cannot make this one up. So the Democratic Party is spending $20 million on a man problem. So young men are fleeing the party in droves, and they're dropping 20 mil to come up with Operation Sam, speaking with American men. I mean, they think that a left-wing Joe Rogan and wearing beards and swearing a lot is going to get it done. Take a look.
They're going to see it at the next ballot box.
Yeah, and they did have a meeting Friday. It was called Come to Jesus
This is
meeting.
not it, kiddo. It's the one, it's the Jesse Waters clip where you have the Democrats literally swearing in swift succession. But we don't even need to find it. I can tell you basically what happens is they just are suddenly swearing like sailors. Pete Buttigieg is in a beard.
And a flannel shirt.
Yes.
I mean, they always go straight to the
find a left-wing Joe Rogan.
The McKinsey consultant is really a man's man.
It is ridiculous. Yeah. So, Lindy, again, you would know this better than anyone else. So why don't you tell us what the hell is going on and how we got here?
You really can't make this shit up. These sorts of things, these boondoggles, that go straight into the pockets of consultants, by the way. And it's the same group of people. They move from one campaign to the next. It doesn't matter if they win or lose, they're still going to cash that paycheck. And that's why they had like advertising down here in Ruby Red, Florida. It's because they don't care if the candidate wins. They're still going to make that dollar. And so they're spending $20 million on some sort of anthropological study of American men. Why don't they actually go out there and meet them?
Yeah, talk to them, get to know them, understand what their frustrations are.
For how many years?
Exactly.
I want to weigh in on that in a second, but they've already put out their initial findings because they've done like 30 focus groups.
Oh, let me tell you.
Let me tell you.
This is our third girl today. Anna is fired up.
It's so embarrassing because by releasing their initial findings, it's become abundantly clear that the Democratic Party is really, really out of touch with men. Like, they have no idea what the concerns of men have been, especially young men.
Yep.
So, for instance, one of their initial findings was like, oh, wow, it turns out that young men are economically frustrated. They don't see a path forward for themselves, and they really want to establish like a family. They don't feel that they can afford it. Can you believe that? That's how they're feeling. Yes, I can believe that. Right. Yes, I can believe that. Yeah. Of course, so many people in this country, young people, just want to experience the normal milestones that previous generations were able to experience, but it's become so incredibly difficult. The job market being what it is, I know the Biden administration was touting their low unemployment rate. However, what is the quality of those jobs? They're not good jobs. They're part-time jobs, construction jobs that are temporary, and it doesn't take into account the large swaths of young men who have given up on even looking for work, right? So that frustration exists. And then on top of that, to your point, Jillian, the messaging from the Democratic Party has basically just demonized men in general, as opposed to judging individuals who engage in bad behavior.
Right. That's absolutely right, Anna. And I also add, the Me Too movement has become this crazy hyena witch hunt that men are afraid. They're now afraid to hug us. They're afraid to call us like, I actually have no problem with being called sweetheart. Call me that all day long. I don't care. And they're so terrified of making a wrong move and suddenly being called out for sexual harassment. The Me Too movement is actually one of the worst things that have happened in the past 10 years.
You know what it is like Democrats, it seems like they really try to play on the emotions of people. They're not too good when it comes to logic and breaking down their policy. So they always go with these emotive issues that try to make people feel something. So they do the virtue signaling with the LGBT community, right? They do women's reproductive health with abortion. They do the fear of the end of democracy, which is ironic given the fact that they completely bypass their democratic process, right? But they lean on these emotional issues, and men are naturally more logical than women, so of course they're not going to jive with it. Am I surprised they're putting out this campaign? Absolutely not. Nat, could we actually play this really quickly? I just sent you something on Slack. Do you guys remember this campaign that Harris and Walz put out right coming up to the head of the election?
Yeah. Oh, no.
This was what they put out to try to say, hey, man, we get you. I'm a man's man. Like, do you have that one there, Nat? Cool.
Oh, my God, I'm afraid. I'm scared.
Do you remember this thing?
Yes,
oh, no.
I do remember this.
God, I've not seen this.
I have secondhand embarrassment.
Stop.
Yeah. I've had enough. Oh, is the volume not playing?
Man enough.
Yep.
Are you man enough to vote for a woman? Is that the
manipulation?
Exactly.
And here, the ironic thing is they have them dressed like super masculine. Look at how one of these guys is sitting. It's like They were like, this is how
I'm not
men
afraid of women.
sit.
I'm
It's
not
like you had
afraid
to
of
be
women.
told, look.
Oh my
Except for
God.
those two little girls in The
looks so
Shining.
natural.
But I'm more afraid of just The Shining in general, the movie. It's not because they're girls. I think you get what I'm saying.
I'm man enough to support women.
And I'm man enough to help them win.
Okay.
Yeah,
Amy,
no wonder they need to spend some money to
Amy,
figure out how
I
to
was
talk
in
to
this
them. That
room
is insane.
I was in the room when they
man.
first unveiled this ad, and this is the ad that they ran instead of responding to the transgender affirming surgery ad in Pennsylvania.
Wait, I have to ask you, what was everyone's face and reaction
They
when
loved
they played it? Did they actually think
thought
that this
it
was compelling?
amazing. They literally thought it was their golden goose.
That really shows you
They
how
are
out of touch
so
they are.
out of
Hold on.
touch.
Here's why.
And-
Here's why.
Go ahead, T.
It's because they don't talk to your
Exactly.
everyday American. They don't go to the middle of the country.
They don't.
They don't want to spend time. And I've said this on Fox News repeatedly. I think the Democrat Party at large is bored with everyday people. I don't think that they find them interesting. I don't think that they find kitchen table issues interesting. I think they find it much more interesting to take a little boy and tell him he's a little girl and have him compete in the triple jump event. I think that they find that intriguing. They love the drag queens. They love to talk about the women's rights, and they love to talk about the Gaza and all, because that stuff excites them. But they are bored with the issues that everyday Americans need to think about and be cognizant of to survive.
That's
They're
precisely
bored with
right.
it.
They want to be seen as these heroes coming in and swooping down and saving these.
For 2% of people, though. But the rest of everybody, they're like, yeah, you're good. We want to, and they're also captivated by the activist class.
Right.
The activists have
Yeah.
completely taken over the Democrat Party.
That's
They've
true.
convinced them that everybody cares about, wakes up every day and is like, I wonder how the trans are feeling today.
Right.
Well, the people running the show right now can tell you precisely who they are. And honestly, I hate to say it, but it's like people in my socioeconomic class.
Yes,
People who live in
thank
San
you.
Francisco,
Yes,
in
that's
the
the
Northeast.
issue.
Yeah.
That's the
You
issue.
know.
They don't run in the same
Exactly.
circles.
And
in
you
their
know,
ivory
let me tell
towers.
you where this decision was made. Do you know where it was made? It was in San Francisco Ritz-Carlton.
Oh,
That's
God.
where Sam was
Seriously?
cultivated.
That's
kid
where
you
the
not.
pulse of the working class
Yes,
is.
exactly.
Like,
and they were dining on these like extremely fancy hors d'oeuvres, sipping on champagne. That is how they germinated Sam speaking with American men. They have
it's
no
not
idea.
just the fact that they're not speaking to American men by prioritizing the issues that you were just mentioning, Tommy. It's the fact that these issues they're prioritizing, some of those things are creating the issues for men in the first place
Yeah, exactly.
by emasculating them, by telling them that they should be ashamed of their masculinity and their maleness and they shouldn't be leaders in their household.
Okay, see.
They're creating the problem.
You hit the nail on the head in my household. I have a 13-year-old son sitting right over there, and it is like his greatest, happiest moment to get to meet PBD and shake his hand today.
Aw.
When you were 13, were you political?
yeah, I was.
Okay, I wasn't. You were.
I'm not surprised,
Were you? I mean, I would
obviously.
say the average
I wasn't at all,
13-year-old
no.
is not
No.
political. And I have a 13-year-old that likes baseball, fishing, and politics. He likes PBD. He likes Joe Rogan. He can't wait to meet Charlie Kirk. And my friends' sons of the same age feel the same. And if you asked him why, it's not because he understands Russia, Ukraine. It's because these are the men that are authentically speaking to him, that he authentically identifies with, that he aspires to be like.
Right.
When not only are the Democrats not doing that, they're not identifying with them, they're not speaking to them authentically, they're denying all of their issues, they find them not only not interesting, but arguably repellent. And he picks it up unconsciously. And now I have a conservative living in my household that happens to have 4 gay moms and a black sister. So you tell me how that happened.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I love it. I support him completely. I'm here to, indulge him in everything he is passionate about. Of course, obviously that are safe and healthy, which I think everything I listed is. But I didn't create this part of my son.
Right, right. You're right. I think you're right. And the other thing I'll say is, look, you mentioned PBD, and think about what the overall messaging is. Like, leave the politics out of it. Just talk about the charisma of the panel and everything, and even the merch that's being sold. Right, the future looks bright.
Right.
It's
Anna.
pushing. It's like pushing this idea that, have a little optimism. We believe in you. You see something, you want to work hard and get it, go get it. People want an inspiring message as opposed to being scolded all the time.
Yeah.
And I think the Democratic Party is thought of as the party of scolders, especially when it comes to men. And look, do I agree with Democrats when it comes to certain toxic things that exist, whether it be harassment of women in the workplace? Sure, I'm sure that exists. I'm sure it exists. However, The problem is when you just make a blanket statement about an entire group of people, it's unfair, it's politically stupid, and now Democrats are paying the consequences for that.
Yes. Amen. And they have an affinity group for every single demographic under the sun except white men. I happen to love white men. I think they're the shit.
Well, no, wait. No. Here's the deal.
Okay.
They love white men when the white men are competing against the girls in women's sports.
Yes.
Now, this is a topic that I'm really fired up about that I think needs to be discussed because my mind was blown this week when I saw in California, when I saw the state champion for women's track and field in 2 events stand on the podium, share the podium with what appeared to be a black, actually female athlete. So my mind was like warped here. I was like, wait a second here. The Democrat Party, the left, especially in California, has been telling us for at least the last 10 years that the group that they need to uphold the most are black women. And now they've got a white boy who has taken the first place spot from what appeared to be a black female athlete.
He's more marginalized.
And they don't see how sick that is. They're always down with the patriarchy. White men are awful. But if a white man says, I'm a woman, then all of a sudden they have now ascended themselves to the top of the ranking.
That's
That's why I argue liberalism is a disease and a mind virus. Because you can't tell me for so many years that black women need to be uplifted, and now you've actively taken away a spot from a black woman to give to a white man, and that's the only white man you'll stand up for.
I'm not sure if it was that post or if it was from another post, but somebody pointed out this athlete, this male athlete, masquerading as a woman who won, is the only one there out of all the athletes with a full face of makeup. These women athletes go there to compete at a high level, whereas this man needs to signal, no, I actually deserve to be here by plastering on a thick clown face. Like, it looks ridiculous. It looks out of place, and I'm glad people are calling it out, but this is just insane that it's even still happening, given Trump's executive order.
Well, it doesn't take effect until June 9th. That's why. Because they still have a few days to do their weird random shit. But I do want to say this is a hierarchy of grievance. And today, trans women are above black women in terms of who they should cater to and worship at the altar of. It's just frankly disgusting. And so they've been demonizing white men for basically 20, 30 years right now, and they expect them to come back into the fold? I don't think so.
Thank you so much for watching Her Take. If you like the show, can you help us out by subscribing to the channel, clicking the notification button, sharing, commenting, joining the conversation? It helps us out a ton with the algorithm. We appreciate you.